What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today we are going to be working on this Weldbilt 1552. Hopefully we're going to finish this thing up in this video. Got the build looking sick though. The paint on here, the colorway is really dope. Austin said he'd help me put the turf in here tomorrow if I can get all the electrical and plumbing done, so that's what I'm getting ready to get started on. Real quick though, guys, I do want to say thank you. 20,000 subscribers, man. That's awesome. It took us about 3 years to get here. Had the channel for 4 years. The first year I didn't even do YouTube. I basically had like 2 videos that were recorded by one of my buddies that I put on the channel. And it wasn't until my second year that I really started filming and dropping my own videos. So 3 years of me dropping videos to get to 20K, I think it's pretty dope. I mean, a lot of guys that I see are, you know, either light years ahead of me or they're growing slower. So I'm not going to complain. I'm happy with where we're at. More the merrier though, guys. So make sure y'all hit that like button and share and subscribe and, you know, help me grow the channel. Anyways, guys, I'm going to put you on the hyperlapse and I'm going to get started doing some of this plumbing and electrical in here. And just FYI, I am going to be doing a giveaway for hitting 20K, so you can look for that video that drops soon. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, so I got the electrical panel made. I think turned out dope. And Austin is actually about to be here any minute. So I'm going to teach him how to do a lot of this electrical and plumbing, because that's something he's never really helped me out with. Normally, he just does all the metal work and turf and stuff, but I really want him to understand how all that works so he can do that on his own. And, well, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So I'm going to set you guys up on the hyperlapse. You should be here any minute. I'm going to go ahead and start doing some of this plumbing and getting some of this wiring figured out and laid out. And hopefully this goes smooth and we can get this thing turfed. Let's get right into it.
Is that enough?
Looks good to me. All right, so Austin helped me out for about 4 hours today, and he got a call from his real estate agent. He's going to look at a house. So what we got done, though, was pretty good. I did want him to learn a little bit about the wiring and the plumbing, because that's really the only stage of the game he hasn't been a part of. So I did get him to put together the panel for the switch panel. That way he at least knows how that goes together. And then he did all of this plumbing. We've got our plug in the bottom. This is our main recirculate and our aerator. That's the intake for that with the screen on it. This is our main pump in. this one is already hooked up. You see that runs right through the side of the boat. I got to come back and cut this off with a hacksaw. And then this is our pump that's going to run to our recirculate and our pump out. I don't have this hooked up yet because I don't have this fitting. The flow right fitting that goes in there is the one that you can pull out and switch between recirculate or pump out. Well, it was supposed to be here yesterday. I don't know where the damn things are at, but I have 10 of them that are in transit somewhere. Hopefully I'll get those soon, but not the end of the world, because I can still finish up everything else, and I can always just reach inside of this pan and put that in. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible. So that's worst case scenario. I'll have to do that. But before I can do that, I still have a lot more stuff to do. Now, we did get all 4 of these ionic batteries in here. We mounted the black box right here. And then right next to that is the Noco Genius, the 4 battery tender and charger. So that's all hooked up. Now the whole trolling motor is actually almost ready to go. I got the jumper in here. I just have to hook the actual trolling motor cables to this battery. I'm probably gonna put an inline fuse up here on the face of this, and we're just going to hardwire that. So if he needs to remove the trolling motor, then he's just gonna have to take, you know, the 2 attachments off of this and pull the cables through with it. He had it on a plug up there, and I didn't really want to go back with that. It's kind of pointless, so we're not going to do that. We're going to hardwire that. I'm thinking about just throwing a little gauge or something in there, maybe like a USB charger or something to cover up that hole. So I'll probably do that. But as far as electrical that we have left to do, I've got to run his nav lights. I got strip nav lights I'm going to put on the front, and then I have the port for the plug, or like the post that goes into the back. Put that in. And I'm going to put some LED lights in here. Now, he did not have LED lights in the budget for this boat, but I do have some from Custom LED Inc. that were leftovers from the Project X build that I did. They're green, and I'm going to put them into this boat because I think it'll be good. It's a good fit for them. Now, if you guys are interested in getting some of those lights from Custom LED Inc., hit them up. Put their information on the screen so you can check it out. They are the best LED strip lights in the game. I'll give you all some more information on those once I get to installing them. But I still have to hook up the transducer for the live scope, and then obviously run the power, the black box and stuff. But those batteries are right next to each other, so it's going to be nice for install on running wires for that. But I'm going to put the strip rails in here. I might put them on the inside. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence, inside or outside. But I do need to go ahead and get some more lights put inside of these compartments. They weren't really on the budget either, but I had these strips of lights. I'm just going to run 1 strip on the inside of this, across here and back, like a big U. That will give him some light inside of these back compartments. And then up here, he's only got these 2 compartments right here. So I'll just run 1 down here, turn that corner back around this side. It'll light up both of these. And I mean, it will probably take me 30 minutes, and it will look a whole lot better once it's all said and done. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm going to pull some of these wires in here and try to clean this boat up a little bit and get some of this stuff done, and we'll circle back. All right, guys, this thing is a mess. We got a lot of stuff done though, man. It's looking sweet. Those lights that I put in here, well, these are dope, man. These are from Custom LED Inc. And I'm going to put his phone number on the screen because that's what he said to do. You guys can call him. Really nice dude. Rob will hook you up. Make sure you tell him that Trick 10s sent you and he'll give you a good deal. And these are the best lights that are on the market. And these are the ones I use. I like them. I'll put these in my own boat. They're expensive, but they're worth every penny. And this is something that you want to hold up. You don't want to have to do this again. Now, I did have to put my own 3M tape on the back of these. I just did this last night. So these were leftovers off of another project. And well, I decided to put them in here. Now, a customer did not ask for these. He did not pay for these. I put them in here because they look sweet and I wanted to give Rob a plug. Anyways, now I got all the LED lights installed. All the plumbing's done. Check out this plumbing. Pretty simple. This is our overflow on the side over here. These are 1.5 inch fittings. I used a 90-degree elbow here. This is a straight. Looking back, I should have mounted this one over a little bit. I wouldn't have had to kink it like that, but it doesn't really matter. It works fine. And then over here, that's our back side. It finishes up the overflow. And then over here, this is pretty simple. This white one over here, this is our main water pump in. And you just twist this thing left or right to adjust the spray on your incoming water. And then this is for the flow right valve, which this filter down here on the screen, the pump's on the back side of that, and it will suck out from here and pump out here. Give you a circle just like that for recirculate. If you grab this fitting and pull it out like that, well, then this fitting on the bottom sucks water in and it dumps it out the side right here where it says live well pump out. Now that's our other pump right here. I still got to cut this off, but you can see the pumps. I'll show you how that works. Now this one up here, this is our pump in. That one's cut and dry right out the side of the hole. And this is our pump for recirculate and pump out. And the way this works, it's a little funky because the way I had to set them in here, but this side right here runs to the inside right here, and that's for recirculate. When you pull the valve out, well, then it pumps water out this way through this hose, which wraps back up around and out the side of the hole. It's pretty simple to set it up like this, and it's a whole lot cheaper than buying the whole flow right system. To be honest with you, I like this better because you now have 2 separate pumps. And I feel a lot better about having 2 separate pumps than to have one pump that does everything. And now this can bring fresh water in and it can recirculate the water that's in there. And if it gets too high, it goes right out of the hole over here for our overflow. And you can run both of these constantly all day long when it's hot out there and you want to keep those fish alive. So that's the way I like doing it. I think it's better that way, but to each his own. Got all the batteries set up in here. The 2 over here for the trolling motor, 1 for the black box, and then 1 for all the other electronics that are going in here. And I'm getting ready to start putting some of these pieces of metal and hatches in here permanently. I did go ahead and mount the seat base up here. We actually had to put another piece underneath of the front of that because this deck had like a little dip in it right here. So I pried this back and we shoved another piece of quarter plate up underneath here and shot a couple rivets in it to try to get rid of that roll, because when I turf it, it would have looked funny. Plus the seat pole was leaning forward a little bit. And well, anyways, that's done. It's all ready to go. I am going to have to relocate this because the damn trolling motor sits on it. I mean, that's where it was originally. I don't think I moved that trolling motor that much, but not a big deal. Probably put this on the other side. This hole over here, I was going to like weld it up, but it would have been noticeable. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw this in there. It's the perfect size for this little voltage meter. Now, I don't think this is 24 volt. I'm not going to be able to hook it up for the trolling motor, but I'll probably just put it on as accessories. And that way he'll know what's in here as far as power for his accessories. If nothing else, it's basically just to blank that hole off. So we still got a lot to do, but we're getting close. We're getting ready to turf this thing. I do have all the decals here, so I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm going to put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm going to try to get some of this stuff installed into the boat, and then we'll circle back. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got pretty much all the electrical done. Still got a little bit of stuff to do, but I can do that stuff later on and reaching inside of these hatches. Got all the hatches installed in here. Now, last night, Austin came over for about 4 hours. We finished up everything in this back deck area. We did go ahead and burn one sheet of turf, and we turfed inside of both of these back storage compartments. I just figured it'd be a lot easier to do it now on, you know, the hatches weren't in. And now that that's done, now we're getting ready to turf the entire rig. It looks really good though. Did hook up the battery pan in here. Everything looks nice and neat. Bilge pump. Now we're gonna start turfing this thing. We're gonna wipe it down, and we're gonna start up on this front deck with a whole piece. I'm gonna run it back to our floor, and then we'll have another piece on that side, and hopefully we can get all this turf in here today. And tonight I'll finish doing all of the electrical that we have left to do. Let's get back to work. I realized that I made one mistake. We put this drain right here in this corner. It was supposed to be in the corner over here. It's not a huge deal. I mean, normally we could just weld a new drain on there. I noticed it before I installed the hatch. The only issue is that the hatch was already powder coated. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I did go ahead and throw a hose on here. Now, if you guys get hatches from me and you want to add this drain tube, it costs $10 extra. I highly suggest you do it. The whole purpose of having this whole hatch track extrusion for these hatches is so that it catches water in this trough and it will drain down and divert wherever you want it with the hose in the bottom of the boat. Well, since we made a mistake on that one, we're going to put this little fitting right here. Now, if you already have hatches in your boat and you want to put this drain tube on it, well, I have these drains right here and this hose. It's pretty simple. You just drill a hole in here, dab a little bit of silicone around this, and then you slide this through the hole, and then this fits right inside of that hose. Now, it does stick up a little bit. I'm going to try to countersink it. It's not very thick, though. I mean, in reality, it's maybe a 1/16 of an inch. Doesn't work as good as that, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in here in this backside right here. And this hatch will end up having 2 drains in it and it should be perfectly fine. I'm going to get this installed and I'm going to give you guys a full walkthrough. It looks sick though. It turned out slick. I really like this build a lot. I mean, it's just really nice. Super sweet. Definitely gonna have to get some type of an extension on here for this because that's a long stretch. I don't know. I have one that my buddy Casey Bass made for me. It's really dope, but it doesn't quite fit over this handle. It was made for the Tohatsu motor, and this Suzuki handle, it's nice, it's big and thick, it's easy to hold on to, but it is a little bit fatter than the other Tohatsu that handle is actually made for. But I do have a couple plastic ones. I'm gonna go grab them in a second and see which one fits up here. But man, whew, that thing is sick. You can see how I did these logos on here. The green that my guy had given me, it's a little bit brighter than I wanted. So I just double stacked them, make it look like it's 3-dimensional. The crappy thing is I put this one up here and I realized that I don't have the white one to go over it. So it doesn't really match too well, but it is what it is. I used the white one when I was doing that trailer build for that kayak and I forgot that I don't have it. So what we can do is either put a sheet of turf over this if he doesn't like it, or I can get the white ones from my buddy and come back and put those on later. But he's picking this boat up tomorrow. So I had to wrap this thing up tonight and man, it looks sweet. This is just a little single graph bridge I made, very simple. I went with the silver on this, kind of matches the trolling motor. I figured they're right there side by side, just different. And it allowed me to put this Trick 10's logo on here. I like that logo a lot. And since this graph bridge wasn't like one of my custom ones, I didn't have an ability or a chance to cut this image out of it, but I wanted to use this sticker. You can't use that sticker on a black graph bridge. It just won't show up very well. So I don't know. If he doesn't like it, he can repaint it or whatever. But I think it's pretty dope, man. We got the live scope. It's a 34 transducer on here, a 93 up here. I did check all this out. Everything's working as it should. All the wires, nice and neat. Come down here, and they go down into the hole that I put in here with the grommet. Everything looks clean though. Super slick. And that graph bridge and foot pedal tray are both removable in case he needs to get in there, change something up or whatever, but don't think he's gonna have to anytime soon. Our big hatch here, this one's pretty cool. This one is on a piston and does have 4 batteries inside of here. Now these two 50 amp hour batteries, look at the difference in these and the ones next to it. Let me turn these lights on here real quick. Let's check out this electrical panel hatch. This turned out really clean too. So you can see I put the extra drain in there, and that's something that you guys can do if you have, you know, hatches and you want to add a drain in there. But this is all set up. All 6 of these are just open. He can put anything he wants in there. If he wants to hook something else up. We've got our bilge. That's our pump in. That's our circulate. And then green lights, white compartment lights, and nav lights. The compartment lights are pretty nice. It's pretty bright inside of there. But yeah, look at the difference in these batteries and these. Now you can see on the side of that battery, it still looks pretty decent down there. It's still blue. That's because those batteries were flipped around and the blue part was facing each other. Now, this is what can happen to your batteries in a year if you let them sit in your boat and you don't protect them or cover the boat. That's what the sun is going to do to your batteries. And, well, it's not that hard to cover them up. These are nice looking batteries. They're expensive. I would take care of them. Inside of this compartment, we've got our black box. And right next to that is our NOCO charger tender. The plug for that right there in the floor. Nice. Still got a little bit of storage on either side of that. And up here, you can see that's for his trolling motor. That's the breaker for it. And that trolling motor runs directly into these two batteries right here. This one right here, strictly for the Fiberoptics. And then this one right here runs all of the graphs. Now I got his fuses right here. This is for his 93 up front. This one I marked 73. That's for the one on the side. And then there's another one for the Fiberoptics that is, it's right, tucked right behind there. Stupid simple. Everything is accessible and easy to get to and looks nice and clean. Switch panel turned out dope. You got the 4 screws here. You remove that. Whole panel comes out, as you guys saw just a few minutes ago when I was showing you about that drain. You can see my pumps and you have access to everything inside of there. Makes it real simple. Then we've got another storage compartment that's wide open. Basically just for tackle. This compartment is like 12 by, I think, 40 inches, right around there. Big size compartment. This one over here is like 56 by 12 inches. So turned out good. The turf in here looks amazing. Turf job, we crushed it. All his live well stuff's ready to rock and roll. Those are his keys down there in that white box. But we did something a little different on this turf job. So check it out. Look at our corner seams, like where a vertical wall meets a top flat wall. Well, they're rolled. Every single one of them. Pretty dope. It's the first time we did that with this. And it just really sets it off. Super clean turf job. And if you look right here, you can see this seam is 45. The way we did that, we made this piece for the floor and it comes up and over and it wraps down there too. So there's no seam. Like originally I was going to have a seam that ran across here because I used this initial first sheet we laid and laid it all the way across here. And then I just rip cut it right there. But when I did that, I had to fold that one down, obviously, so I didn't have enough to turn this corner because I stole it to fold down the face that way. We started looking at it, and I was like, well, this is only like 2 inches right here, and we just had a strip going across here. I was like, let's do away with that strip, and that's exactly what we did. And I also came back in this corner, and I 45 cut this. You see that turf seam right there? Well, that made a big difference because it allowed me to hide that on an angle instead of straight across, where it would have been more noticeable. And the same thing with this corner right here. 45 seam looks really good. It's really cool. You're not going to see anybody else doing these rolled corners like this. Hydroturf doesn't really suggest that you do it, but as you can see, we do it all the time and it looks killer. Into our back compartments, storage. It does have some lights up in there too. Can't really see too well with all the lights on in my garage, but lots of storage. I mean, like a port and starboard side for a passenger, you know, there's tons of room in there. Front seat, back seat motor, however you want to do it, but it turned out sick. Only thing we're missing out of here is this gas tank. When I hooked up this jack plate on here, this advanced jack plate, he bought these pieces too. And well, I obviously can't use them. They're supposed to go horizontally across here, but we got this big brace in here, so I couldn't use them that way. So what I did was I just cut them off and put them this way. And this actually helps out because it's a lot thicker. This is like 3/8 of an inch thick, and it gives more for these bolts to grab to on the inside of this instead of just this thin transom wall. And it also worked out well because these bolts are made to go through this. When you order one of these, if you get these pieces, they give you longer bolts. And it's definitely something that you need to look at is your transom thickness if you're going to order one of these advanced jack plates, because it's come into play a couple of times with me. The other thing is you need to tell them how thick you want this right here, because look, we had to add a piece of 1x3 tube up inside of it, and that's basically just because this wasn't tight enough to clamp down. I clamped these all the way in and it was still loose, but it worked out good. Right now, this motor cavitation plate is actually sitting about a 1/2 inch above the bottom of the boat. It's probably okay. I'm gonna take this thing out and test it because I wanna know. If I gotta bring this thing up, I can't bring it up any higher without moving the jack plate. Now I mounted the jack plate where it's at because look, it's sitting right up against this and there's screw heads right there and stuff. If I were to move this all the way up to the top, well, then I had to come back because there's like an 1/8 inch gap thickness right here where it drops down. You don't want that jack plate to be mounted up at an angle like that. So I'm gonna have to put a sheet of 1/8 inch plate, you know, all the way across his back right here, basically just to make up that distance right here so they're smooth for it to attach to. So pretty crazy, but all in all, turned out sick, man. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to jack it up, but we're gonna take it up to the water and try it very shortly. This side over here, same thing, big storage compartment. Everything's got drain tubes in them. And then in front of this hatch, he's got another big storage compartment up in there too. So it's definitely cool. This side over here, cup holders. You got cup holders on both sides, and then he's got his Garmin 73 mounted on this ram mount, and this ram mount is probably fine for this size graph. If you use like a 9-inch graph or anything bigger, I would suggest you get the one that's a swing arm and not just adjustable ram mount, because what happens a lot of times if you put a bigger graph on there, it gets too heavy and this thing will end up flopping around. So, but it should be fine for the 73. Turned out sick though. Really happy with what his project turned out. I hope he likes it. We're gonna find out tomorrow. One last thing I wanted to show you guys. These green strip lights are actually attached with this voltmeter up here, and that thing filled up that hole perfectly. It looks good. And when you turn these green lights on, that comes on. It was a whole lot cleaner than just putting a patch over it or a sticker or something, but project turned out really good. I think he's gonna like it. I like it. It's definitely one of my favorites. Pretty dope build. There she is. What do you guys think? Pretty badass project, right? Turned out sick. I'm digging it. Only thing that sucks is that Austin is not here to do this full video walkthrough with me and go take this thing out in the water and test it. I was really hoping he's going to get a chance to get out there and, you know, see what goes into shooting the videos and doing the reveals and stuff like that. And plus it give him a little chance to get some first-hand experience with the little tiller motor. But regardless, it's all good. He went back to Galax. He's picking up all his stuff to bring it back. Sold his house, bought a house. We're about to be rolling. He's got his own garage. He's going to be setting up shortly. He's going to be taking on lots of projects. So you guys keep an eye out for that. Weldbilt 1552. Sick project, guys. Y'all want something like this? Hit me up. I'm going to take this thing out to the water. I'm going to shoot a little on the water reveal and walk through. Yeah, I want to see what this thing can do. We need to make sure that jack plate's right. We need to make sure that I test that live well, make sure everything's plumbed up right and everything's working the way it should be. I know it is, but I just want to make sure. Plus, I really want to run the thing. So I'm going to go put this on the trailer, take it up to the water, run around for about an hour, and then we'll come back and clean it up and make sure this thing's ready to go because customer's picking it up tomorrow. Anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think about the video. I'll see you guys next time. Let's get back to work.